Well, viewers, welcome back. You're still watching Good Morning Africa right here on Pan-African Television. Once again, let me remind you that we are streaming live on Facebook at Pan-African Television. We're also live on YouTube at Pan-African Television. The program is very interactive. You can leave your comments, suggestions, questions, and whatnot on our social media pages. We'll make a time and read all those up for you. You can as well connect with us via our WhatsApp stroke text line on 026084 6539 026084 6539. Now, let me take you through the topics we are going to be discussing on the show this morning. And we'll be looking at an African story that says Guinea opposition leaders home blocked amid protest. Story captured on page 5 of the Ghanaian Times. Former President Mahama warns separatist movement against dividing Ghana. Inside newspaper captured on the front page. Volta rebels strike again. Banned buses in Ho. Daily Guide captured that story. And don't justify omissions in voters register. ASEPA tells Electoral Commission. Heritage on page 3 of the newspaper. I'll be joined in the studio by Dr. Mazouk. He's a lecturer with University of Applied Management. Doc, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And I'm glad for seeing you again.
Sure.
All right.
I'm also glad to see you.
Thank you. And also in the studio is Honorable Dr. Rashid Pelpo, Member of Parliament for Wasentra. Doc, good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
And I'm happy seeing you once again.
Thank you so much.
We are expecting Dr. Adman Kisi, parliamentary candidate for Anya Sotom constituency. As and when he gets here, he will join the discussion. But I'll start with you, Dr. Mazouk, on the African story. Guinea opposition leaders home blocked amid protest.
Good morning to the cherished viewers of ours, and thanks for the opportunity. Special good morning to the people of Nantong. And this is very unfortunate. More unfortunate because we are starting with it. And it is a depiction of one of the sins of constitutional dictatorship.
Very well.
In the drama of Africa. Clearly, this is about the will of the people against the wishes, the whims and caprices of the powers that be in Guinea. It is unfortunate this is happening because Alpha Condé himself, the president himself, has been a victim of what he is doing, a victim of constitutional dictatorship. He had spent many years in opposition trying to come to power. He came to power in 2010. And since then, he has been the president of Guinea. Now, the issue at stake is about continuity, longevity. And these two evils in our constitutional dispensation in Africa have been instances of violence, instances of conflicts. Why will you block the home of the opposition leader? Just because the people want to express their opinion through demonstration. My brother, you and I know that demonstration is a legitimate means of expressing your constitutional sentiments in every democratic society.
Very well.
And why will a president disallow people from expressing their views in a multi-party democratic society? So it is nothing but a reminder of African civilization and a reminder of African wish, the wish of the African leaders to remain in power. And he should learn from history. Let Guinea learn from what happened in La Côte d'Ivoire, which is equally rearing its ugly head again. What happened in other parts of the world, what happens in other parts of Africa, in relation to longevity, in relation to continuity, in relation to remaining in power. And if democratic structures are not respected, definitely constitutionalism will not be allowed to succeed. It is important for the president to understand that experiential learning is the best source of learning. And for him to experience victimization he should rather be the first person to fight against victimization, and the last person to activate that evil of victimization. He was in opposition and he suffered. The opposition leader is currently in opposition. The opposition leader should not suffer at the hands of the president, because he should understand that no matter what, I mean, when I say he, I'm referring to the president. No matter the situation, the table shall turn one day. And when the tables turn, he may be in opposition forever. In opposition forever because the constitution may not allow him to come back to power. And if we allow the culture of tit for tat to exist, definitely we will be undermining the structures of democratic constitutionalism. So it is up to the president to learn, and up to the people of Guinea to stand firm. They should stand firm and do everything within the context of the constitution, but let them avoid violence. Let them act in a way that will promote sanity and civility in our body politic. They should try as much as possible to use every legitimate means to fight constitutional dictatorship. I have always said that the constitutional dictatorship is worse than military dictatorship, because in constitutional dictatorship, laws are made to legitimize evil. Laws are made to legitimize victimization. Laws are made to legitimize undermining the opposition. Laws are made to stifle freedom. So it's very difficult to fight. But when the people are determined, they will, at the end of the day, ensure the victory of democracy over tyranny. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Mazouk. Wonderful submission. I'm reliably informed that in Wa, almost every home you enter, they are watching Pan-African television. Thank you all so much, in Wa, for choosing Pan-African television and making it the #1 station in Wa. It's not just Wa. I'm told that in the 5 northern regions, Pan-African television is the #1 station. We thank you all so much for choosing Pan-African television. We are so grateful.
6 northern regions. Is it 5?
Is it 6 or 5? Now 6. Yes. Okay, so there's 6 northern regions. Pan-African television is ruling. We are so grateful that you have chosen Pan-African television over any other channel in this country. We are happy and we are with you. Thank you all so much for watching Pan-African television. Now let me come to Honorable Dr. Rashid Pelpo on the African story.
Yeah, thank you so much. And good morning to Wa Central. They have chosen Pan-Africa as a #1 station because they see their MP talking to them every Wednesday. Well, when you talk about the current conducts or behavior of African leaders who seek to extend themselves beyond the time limit given them into a space they don't belong, is because of the very nature of leadership in Africa. We tend to build strong human beings rather than strong institutions. Institutions define the state and they define the system that we operate. Now, if you don't have strong institutions that will allow you to have an enduring democratic practice, then you have problems with one person overriding the law and overriding the institutions and asserting themselves in the space that others also belong to. You can't extend yourself beyond the history, the space given you to make history that doesn't belong to you. So that's where the problem is. But when you are thinking about reflecting on what is happening now, think back at where we come from. We have come from colonial domination, slavery. We have fought against slavery. We have fought against neocolonialism. We have come to the point when power and authority is handed back to us. And what do we do with the power and authority? We use it to corrupt ourselves. We steal money, take it abroad, in Nigeria, when Sani Abacha died, his wife was carrying over 20 suitcases, all filled with foreign currencies, nearly $1 billion Ghana dollars in cash. And in Zaire, you have huge sums of money. The president at the time had more money than the states and could borrow money, could borrow the states. You know, Ayedema could guarantee as a person for his country to take a loan. That's the kind of leadership we have in this country. And today in Africa, in Ghana, we can see symptoms of those things happening. Huge sums of money borrowed, and you don't know what they are doing with it, and you know they fizzle out into the private pockets of individuals. It is difficult to prove this if you are called upon, because they have a way of fighting you, and that's what is happening to the opposition leader in Guinea. They use the same law that tells them not to do the bad things against the one who complains about the people who do the bad things.
Yeah.
They can bring emergency laws. They can bring, treasonable laws that can pigeonhole you into committing treasonable acts, and then charge you with it and incarcerate you.
Yeah.
So we have come a long way, and having come this long way, it is important for us to guard the freedoms we have attained all over Africa. We need to fight and ensure that the freedom we fought for, died for, sacrificed for, must be maintained. The price of democracy is perpetual vigilance. We cannot wait for individuals who will take away our sweats and blood for nothing and dominate our lives, because they want to corrupt the system. So I think that it should be an exemplary to all African countries, for young people who are coming up to rise up against increasing authoritarian regimes springing up in Africa, insisting on taking a third term, violating the constitution. We need to insist that we need to have a free Africa and a secure Africa, that the lives of people will have to be secured, and that we cannot tolerate situations where the leaders themselves begin to perpetuate the same things that we are against. Because, if you take the place of the colonial regimes and stay in power beyond the limits you are given, you have violated the constitution, you've thrown it to the dustbin. If you try to amend the constitution to satisfy that single individual, you have violated the constitution, you have violated the people, you have destroyed the social contract between you and the people. So I think that in Guinea's situation, people must be allowed, ECOWAS would have to come in very strongly, and they will have to sanction leaders who want to do this kind of thing. It's important that peer group, peer arrangement, in which you have peer review of each other's conduct, must come into play to make sure that we don't allow single individuals to take everybody for a ride.
All right, thank you so much, Doc, for your submission. We've been joined in the studio by Dr. Adumaku Kissi, parliamentary candidate on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party for Anya Sotuom constituency. Anya Sotuom constituency is the constituency come December 7th. Vote Dr. Adumaku Kissi as the Member of Parliament for Anya Sotuom. This one I'll show my bias. Vote Dr. Adumaku Kissi for Anya Sotuom. Doc, good morning.
Good morning.
For coming. I'm glad seeing you.
Thank you.
Anyway, deal with the African story for me. Guinea opposition leaders home blocked amid protest.
I think I heard most of the thing that Honorable Rashid Pelpo was saying. Africa. We have issues. We have issues, and anytime any African country bleeds, Ghana also bleeds. In the sense that our destinies are inseparable to the improvement and lives of other people in other countries. Guinea, Unfortunately, I think when things get really bad, people have to take to the streets. People have to protest in many ways, and it's a process for citizenry to arrive at that level where they get fed up, and I'm just hoping that it doesn't lead to severe unrest in the country. And what I mean by that is that, then you get people rioting, military taking up actions that are totally not in sync with the rights of the people. And I pray that they learn from other states' lessons. And hopefully, if it's a siege, then either they change in a very reasonable way. We don't want what happened to Mali, although Mali is getting better. The transition, however is going to be managed, should be done without loss of life and without loss of property. I mean, I think that is my only best plea. But invariably, I think African countries, our leadership, need some different thinking in the sense of, I always say this, our succession plans are not very well managed. We don't think about the next generation very, very well. And in terms of handing over leadership to another, person without that selfish interest of always controlling the assets of the state. As you rightly said, there are even other countries where people's children hold far more than the whole country. I mean, and not to cite any nation in point, but it's serious. I think Swaziland or so. I mean, when you look at the assets of the state and the fact that it's just one person,
Angola.
Yes, I mean, it's so unfair, and it doesn't sit well with some of us. And I pray that the Guinea protest, or shall I say, blockade of the president, the opposition leader, will not lead into unrest, and that his rights as an opposition leader would be appropriately seen is important. I mean, opposition is a big position. I mean, and must be given the necessary respect. Just as I respect the leading opposition party. Granted, they have a lot of work to do in opposition, which they are failing even there. But I will pray that his rights as an opposition leader, just as we allow former President Mahama to have the freedom to express himself and spend and make unneedful, unnecessary promises, I think maybe Guinea should learn from our current scenario in Ghana, where opposition party can freely operate under the government of the MPP. Is something for them to learn. So I'll plead that this thing doesn't become chaotic, and within hopefully a few number of days, whatever the real issue is, be it deliberate attempt to make his campaign useless. I mean, however it is, I would hope that it can be resolved amicably, so that it doesn't result into violence, so that there's no loss of life, and things go in a very stable way. If opposition is happy, then ruling government is also relatively happier. So let's be prayerful and mindful of Guinea as we move ahead, so that things work well. I like your colors, by the way. I mean, I like the colors he has on. I'll just leave it there.
All right, thank you so much, Doctor. Now let's come back.
I have a question.
Okay,
is it the MPP colors?
No. I just said I like it.
He likes the smoke.
Anyway, it's beautiful. The smoke is nice.
I don't know what happened.
Anyway, now let's come back home and deal with, some happenings in Ghana. Former President Mahama wants separatist movement against dividing Ghana. Volta rebels strike again. Bend buses in Ho. We'll marry those to deal with it. I'll start with Honorable Dr. Rashid Pepo, one of the decent members of parliament we have in the country. And I'm advocating for him to be voted back to parliament, and I'm pleading with all the people in West Central to endorse him massively. We are looking out for nothing less than 90% in the upcoming elections, and I know that is going to be done duly. Doc.
Thank you so much, Justice. I'm so grateful. I just hope that my people are listening
Very well.
and will deliver. President Mahama's warning is apt. And for a responsible person who has been in government and who is in opposition and seeking to come back to government, it's important to show and demonstrate high-level concern about what is happening. These people called the separatists, who are seeking to break away portions of this country to form another country, are doing it in the worst of ways that you will expect anybody to do. And first of all, for any group of people who want to secede from a whole, a sovereign state, there are processes. You will have to mobilize the support of the people you are leading. They will have to recognize you as their leader. There has to be demonstrable support by the leaders, the sub-leaders in the communities you want to take away. And the yearning has to come from the grassroots, not a few individuals who just pick up the last agreement that resulted into a plebiscite and that made it possible for the said area, the Transvolta Togoland, that was the name now, to break away. I mean, to be part of Ghana. You picked the agreement and found a clause there that said in 50 years that can be reviewed if the people want. After 50 years, nobody came forward. And you have these people who are insisting that they want to break away, led by an 83-year-old man. Our concern is that government is not decisive enough in dealing with the people who are doing that. You have small group of people who are coming into Accra to recruit people who don't even understand, who don't belong to the area. Take them there, give them some minimal training, hand them over some kind of weapons, and they are there. Government knows about them, and they are allowing them to operate. You don't know what they hope to achieve in that. This thing that they went into burning buses that was captured here is one of the worst things that can happen to a government. I don't know how government is going to explain it. And the worst of it all is the information minister, Mr. Honorable Nkrumah, coming out to say that he knows the people who are sponsoring the separatists. I mean, just imagine. Government knows the root cause of the problem. Government is announcing it. Do we need to know? Government should go to the root cause and solve the problem. And let us know that the government is doing that. By this time, you would have arrested 1, 2, 3 because you've seen that there is adequate evidence of money transfer from this to that, which is resulting in their buying arms and then doing what they are doing. And then you arrest the leader, you arrest this person, take them through trials, democratic and through, according to our rule of law, and then punish them for that treasonable act. It is in our law, in our constitution, that anybody who tries to take away the sovereign will, the sovereignty of Ghana, any portion of it, to take any portion of it away is a treasonable act and must be punished by the dictates of the law. So if you cannot defend the constitution, I don't know what else you are there for as a president or as leadership. You see, when the president is given the power, the mantle, the sword to demonstrate leadership of this country, you are also giving the airspace of this country, you are giving the boundaries of this country, you are giving the sea, the lands, the waters of this country to manage and to ensure that they remain Ghanaian. And if that is very fundamental, the military is there to make sure you guard the sea, the navy. You have the navy. You have the infantry to guard the land. You have the flight. What do you call them? Those who temporarily forgotten the description. You have those who are in who protect the airspace for us.
Is it the Air Force?
The Air Force, yeah. You have the Air Force who protect the airspace for us. You have the Navy that protects the sea. You have the infantry that is on the land, and you have the immigration that makes sure people don't just come into the country. The human beings who don't just. So, after giving you all this power in your hands, you allow a small group of people with little arms, to move into the country and to do what they are doing. It's unacceptable. So the government has a portion to blame. If they are not instigating it, they should demonstrate very forcefully that they are not instigating it. You see, just when they went to Soup to arrest, look at the number of people they arrest. Hardcore separatists, terrorists, you can't get them to arrest like that. It means that they are still in an incubation situation. They are coming up. They are building up from the base to become terrorists. They haven't gotten there yet. And yet, government is just fanning the flames and allow them to grow, which is something we will have to condemn. No matter what party you are, you should condemn it. We cannot tolerate a situation of the nature of Nigeria.
How else do you expect government to handle this situation? I
just want to make sure government goes to the root and uproots this situation. It should not exist at all. Get all the people who are involved in it, find the evidence that demonstrate that they are violating the law, take them through the law court and incarcerate them if they are guilty. If they are not guilty, go and talk to them. You cannot allow them to do what they are doing. If you feel that they have a case, get them and have a dialogue with them. If you think they don't have a case and they are violating the law, incarcerate them, take them through the law court. It's very, very important. We have to be very decisive about it. And I want to doff my hat for President John Mahama for condemning it and for warning them, because it shows that in the next NDC government, which is coming soon, we are very uncomfortable in opposition, as he said himself. Dr. Kisi Dixon said, we are very uncomfortable in opposition. We want to come back and tell Ghanaians and show Ghanaians that leadership can produce results. And so I think that what he has said is in order, and we all fully support that we want our country to be a whole country. We don't want any part of it to be taken away. If there is any way that those who decided to be part of Ghana would not want to be part of Ghana, there are ways to do it. In the first place, they did not fight to join Ghana. When they were coming to join Ghana, they didn't fight. There was a plebiscite, there was orderly voting, there was a democratic process of decision-making, and then they voted and said they will become part of Ghana. The people they are now harassing were not part of the plebiscite. They were not part of the Transvolta Togoland that eventually joined Ghana. It was just a few. There were a few places. Angula and all those places were not part. Only a small portion, Hohoi and the rest of them, were the ones that were part of it. the Oti side until you get to if you want the northern side, you have the Bimbla and the Yendi, and then the Mamprusi side, they were part of it, just a small portion.
In fact, the Hohwe Traditional Council has issued a statement.
Yes.
Warning persons living within Hohwe and its environs to desist from any acts of that nature, and that they are not in support of the activities of the separatists.
Okay.
They are part of Ghana, and so they would want to be recognized. And so I think that is what is also coming from the Hohwe Traditional Council.
Yes, and that's where they would have wished to make their capital. And the people are saying, we are not with you. We don't even know why you are doing what you are doing. We are Ghanaians. We don't want to be taken for anything else. And yet, you have these people who have styled themselves as fronting for the separatists and wanting to, you don't know what they are fighting for. So the government has to be decisive about it, because we cannot allow Ghana to slip into chaos.
But Doc, in digesting some of these issues, isn't it appropriate to also look at whether or not these persons have a case? For instance, there was a plebiscite. They have decided to join Ghana for a number of years, if it's renewable and all of that.
Yeah.
It has passed. Nobody raised any issue. Today, they are fighting for it, according to some few groups that would want separation, or they would want their part of the country separated from Ghana and all of that. Isn't it appropriate to situate this in a proper context and look at whether or not they have a case, and how best we can have this discussion to make sure that it doesn't degenerate into something worse later?
Well, I think that is a logical question. You see, where there is a plebiscite and a decision is taken with a clause that says that after 50 years we can revisit it if the people are not satisfied. After 50 years, 50 years after independence, has anybody come to complain? No. They just came right now, and Ghana is far more than 50 years now.
Okay.
We are into getting to 60 years since independence, and in fact, a little more than 60 years since
a little more than 60 years. Yeah.
So if after all this time you kept quiet and only came to raise it, you are not raising it as the individuals who are directly affected, but by single people who got up, wanting to have their names written in some history, demonstrating the way they are demonstrating.
Okay.
If we had the Hohoi traditional area, the Yendi, Yayana, the Mamprusi area, all of them rising up and say, we want to go, then we will have a second plebiscite. Or this time a referendum, we want to have a referendum to ask, to see whether we can change the constitution to now exclude you as part of Ghana and to allow you to go. You don't have these people talking about it. I cannot imagine Yendi saying they want to leave Ghana and be a part of another country. I cannot imagine the Hohoi saying they want to leave Hohoi and be another country. I cannot imagine same with the Mamprusi people. They are behaving as if it's just a small portion that went through the turn. It's a whole area, and that area is cannot be led by this 83-year-old person who has no support from any traditional area, nor even the youth, nor the intellectuals, nor the politicians. These are people who are self-serving and who want to wreck this nation, and I think that we cannot allow it to happen. But if there is a case for them, listen to them. If there is no case, take them to court. That's my position. So government should not be dilly-dallying. They should come out clearly. Let us know what they are thinking and what they are about.
All right, thank you so much, Doc, for your submission. Now, let me go to Dr. Adman Kisi. Activities of the separatist movement, the Homeland Study Group, who are causing mayhem in the Volta region. We are marrying this to former President Mahama warns separatist movements against dividing Ghana, and Volta rebels strike again, burn buses in Ho.
Well, this is an unfortunate scenario, especially the violent approach that they are trying. I'm happy that the leadership within the Volta region have come out clearly that they enjoy being in Ghana and are Ghanaians. And for that matter, these small group do not talk or speak for them. If even they had a case, the best approach is to fight it legally. Dissociating yourself from any country cannot be done by way of just violence. The appropriate quarters for this fight is in the courthouse and not on the field, and not in damaging vehicles, not in damaging property, not in being an aggressor. One thing I can say is that sometimes when you even have a case, how you approach it worsens or betters your case. And in this, if we even had an inclination to have sympathy for whatever cause they are on, per their actions, they are not helping their case at all. And I don't know what they are working at to achieve, really. Is it that they want to leave the country? I mean, there are visas available to many other countries if that is what they want. I mean, ECOWAS will admit any Ghanaian for quite a number of days if they feel like they need to leave.
They want a breakaway.
I mean, I'm just saying there should be a reason for their, as it were, uneasiness in being part of Ghana. Now, I don't know if in recent times what may have triggered this issue. I mean, I think it became more relevant within the past year, because this faction of people who want separatist or this separatist agenda, even if there was chatter about it, some chatting or noise about it, it didn't come to the national arena until just recently. And what I can say is that the New Patriotic Party condemns their actions. The New Patriotic Party, I think yesterday, the General Secretary came out boldly to say that they are not in support of the approach that they are using, and to remind them that any criminal actions they take will make them liable for jail time, and they should be very careful how they approach this agenda that they have. In addition, I think I'll commend, opposition leader President Mahama for also coming out boldly and condemning the fact that anybody doing this is not for Ghana and doesn't have the interest of Ghana at heart. And he's also condemning the violent nature in which they are approaching their work. So I'll give him kudos for that. So what it means is that the two big parties for governance in this country, as far as we are all aware and concerned, are not in support. To step up the game, I'll only plead that no party should try and make political gains out of this. This is a very serious state matter and should be dealt with in that regard. I don't think any political leader is in support of this from what we are aware of, and that nobody should think that somebody wishes Ghana ill. As much as we may not like each other, we can live better in a safer, peaceful environment than in a violent environment or chaotic environment. Anarchy is not the way. And what I mean by anarchy is that if it isn't good for you, then you want to destroy the good that there is for others. If they concentrate their energy on maybe getting social amenities for that area, where they might think that it is not in line with what they are donating to the nation, I mean, that one, I don't have any qualms about it. We are all fighting for the natural resources or natural cake or national cake as it is, but their approach will not help them. And I'll plead with them, wherever they are, that they are listening, that I think that if even they have a case, it should be fought in the law court, not on the streets, not in their homes. They should leave their children, wives, relatives out of this matter. Get funding for a solid legal team to handle this issue if truly they have the appropriate witnesses and documentation that can support this effort. And I think that all their energies should be directed to the court, not to the streets.
All right, Doc, people have raised concerns with how government has handled this issue so far. When this whole issue first started with the 83-year-old man, some persons were arrested, including the old man. They were all freed. Later, government once again arrested some persons who were training in a bush somewhere close to Togo, in a forest somewhere close to Togo. They were being trained as military personnel who should be carrying out some of these activities for the group. Those persons, we do not know how the issue has been handled until just recently, Friday dawn, they carried out another activity where 2 police stations were attacked. Quite apart from that, they blocked roads simultaneously in the North Tongu area and then around Japan. Just yesterday or 3 days ago, they attacked whole, I think STC terminal. They have actually burnt buses and all of that. It is getting into a situation where if care is not taken, we may not be able to handle as a state. People are of the view that how come government has not been able to handle this situation since it started well, to an extent that we've gotten to a point where police station was attacked, policemen were arrested, they were naked. They, of course, let me put it that way. And then quite apparently, block roads, they are burning buses and all those things. How is government handling this situation?
Well, I think that, things are graduated per security level, per aggressors levels. And invariably, when government started, they were hoping that reason will find way. And the right approach, mind you, if you are arrested, you still have rights as an individual. And if you have faith in the court system, which the government should, releasing these quote-unquote suspects doesn't mean that the case is over. There's always a time limit to how many days you can even keep a suspect, if I'm not mistaken. So government tried to use a reasonable approach with these people. Unfortunately, they are not trying to find reason. And I like one thing about President Bush, which he says that he will not negotiate with terrorists, in the sense that now these people want to graduate into a terrorist sort of group. And I'm very sure that the security agencies, in terms of the interior ministry of this country, will now go at it with an equal and even bigger force. And that is what we are all hoping, that it doesn't lead to loss of lives. It doesn't lead to tension unnecessary in that area. And I think that they approached it hoping that reason will find way. But more and more, these folks are not trying to use reason, and rightly so. The state will now up their game, and it's going to be brutal force coming towards them. And brutal force, you can't win against the government. I mean, when the military steps there, unfortunately, some innocent lives may be lost. And the story then, our same people will then come out and say, hey, why is the military using brutal force when these are just civilians? And that is another thing we need to worry about. This is interesting that in one breath we are crying that the government is not taking brutal action, and then in another breath, when they start taking the brutal action, people will say, oh, the force is too much. So, you know, they have to massage and get to the root of this and find the key players who are pushing this agenda, because this agenda has to be fueled by some cash. This agenda has to be fueled by some people inciting people against the government.
But the information minister said some big names are going to be mentioned, are going to be put out there.
I am not privy to what the information minister.
I don't know when that's going to be done. Actually,
I'll be very careful in my communication today, in the sense that I'm not privy to all of that.
Doc, whether we like it or not, this issue has taken a political twist.
That's what I'm saying.
People are of the view
that
some persons are trying to create, a situation in the Volta region that would destabilize the peace and security of the place, because
no, the group is trying to, but it isn't,
and they think that some political figures are behind that. I've heard some politicians questioning, the activities of those people, and think that it may not necessarily be the separatist group. When the regional minister was interviewed, he indicated clearly that the group that carried out the attack on Friday dawn are different from those who, attacked earlier. So we do not even know the particular group that is equally causing the mayhem in the region as it stands now. Government should come clear. I mean,
no, when these things happen, for instance, when the Floyd was killed in the U.S., some people who want to steal from shops ended up doing looting. So that's the agenda, to loot, not necessarily because of the death of Floyd, but a ways and means to get them to loot. So when these things happen, in the name of separatist movement, other elements, criminal factions or criminal minded people will come out as if, we are doing separatist movement, but invariably they are trying to steal people's things in buses. I mean, let's keep that in mind. It's a decoy, which can be happening. So anybody who wants to do something bad can just, in the name of, as it is, in the name of separatist movement, block roads, in the name of separatist movement, go and put fear in police and all of that. So I think that, in a way, the ultimate thing is it has to be shut down. This movement, this agenda, so-called separatist agenda, has to be shut down with brutal, measures and as it says, zero tolerance for, excuse me to say, nonsense. Zero tolerance for this, because these are Ghanaian lives and we need to protect them as a nation. And if a small group of less than the township in whole, or it's serious, they need to be, as it is, put away for a long time. And as much as the military is going in, they are also bound by some code of operation, some code of ethics, and that is where sometimes we get confused. But I'm very sure with the people handling affairs for security in this country, let's be patient with them. The appropriate information will be out for all of us to see in the public domain, and then we can make judgment. It might be premature to make judgment in the heat of the moment. So I'll plead with people. Our prayers should go out to the families there. Okay. Our prayers should go out to the town there.
All right.
Our prayers should be with them so that they live in peace and be able to go about their regular farming activity, their regular driving activity, their regular traveling activity. People travel, a lot in those areas. So that is what we are hoping for.
All right, thank you so much, Doc, for your submission. Before I come to Dr. Mazouk, let me go for a quick break. I'll be right back.
Breakfast good day, every day.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Breakfast good day, every day. Every day.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Yes, welcome back. You're still watching Good Morning Africa right here on Pan African Television. Today I'm sitting in for my brother Kwame Osudan. So he's equally attending to some important assignment, and God willing, tomorrow he's going to be here with you. But you can send your views, comments, and contributions on 0260846539, 0260846539. Now, let me come to Dr. Mazouk. Doc, deal with the issue for us.
Right. This is a legitimate warning by a legitimate former president in response to an illegitimate act by an illegitimate group whose members have been consumed by a treasonable mentality decorated with secessionism. And I commend the former president, my uncle, my elder brother, for such a bold move.
Very well.
It is also another demonstration of the culture of unity in diversity, if you want to call it national unity in partisan diversity. And I believe that this culture of unity in diversity should propel all Ghanaians to see ourselves as a common enemy, yes, being confronted by an external enemy. And therefore, we must come together to fight. In spite of a bit of politicization, definitely, I mean, such a thing cannot be free from any dose of politicization. Exactly. There is hope. And the hope is that so far, we are all one. We have witnessed condemnations from chiefs, from the clergy, from the imams, from the church and from the mosque, from the politicians in the opposition, from politicians in government, from the civil society organizations, from students, from individuals, from institutions. And that alone is enough for us to be convinced that we shall win the fight. Let me also comment the president.
Okay.
I don't mind however you look at it, but my analysis of the situation tells me that the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, the president of the Republic of Ghana, has been able to manage the situation very well. That is my analysis. And this is the time, yes, very well. If you look at the analysis, I'll tell you why.
Okay.
And if you look at this, if you look at what is happening, it is something that we must at all times try as much as possible to analyze with the highest sense of objectivity. We are dealing with a situation that demands the balance of brutal force and respect for the rights of the people. And to that extent, definitely, the president has done well. This is the time every Ghanaian must give support to the nation, to the government, and to the president. To the president because he is the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. And when we are talking about separatist movement, definitely the armed forces as an institution has a role to play.
Exactly.
I'm telling you why I'm saying the president has done very well. The president has done very well because he has been able to respect the fundamental rights of the alleged separatist movement, alleged separatists, right? He has been able to respect their fundamental right. One, by causing their arrest. Two, by interrogating them through appropriate institution. Three, by arraigning them. Four, by prosecuting them. So definitely, in a constitutional environment, you do not expect the state, through the powers of the president, to descend heavily on people alleged to have committed crimes. But there has been a failure, because he is a human being, and the government is run by human beings. So definitely, we will record success, and we will also record failures. Even though some elements in government are arguing that there hasn't been any security or intelligence failure, I disagree. There has been a huge intelligence failure. You know, intelligence is proactive, and security is reactive. The soldiers and the police will react when the enemies strike. But it is the intelligence community that detects the intention of those who want to strike. And that one is proactive.
Yeah.
If the intelligence community is able to get the information, it analyzes this information and gives to the appropriate authorities to prevent. So there has been a security failure. How can a whole police station be run down? A whole police station be overpowered? And those people have the gas, seize weapons, seize vehicles, drive.
Naked personnels.
Yes. Until the people themselves in the community try to rise. So definitely, we have not been proactive. And even when it comes to reaction, the reaction had been a bit late, considering what has happened.
Okay.
So in one breath, the president has done well in relation to the respect of the constitutional rights of the people.
Okay.
But in another, it has been a massive failure in terms of security, in terms of intelligence, in responding to this issue. But my brother, we cannot examine this topic holistically without considering factors of secessionism. And I will look at the factors at two levels,
Okay.
macro level and micro level. At the macro level, definitely, things that will influence secession are: one, socio-economic injustice targeted against a certain group of people, identified by certain cultural characteristics or regional characteristics. Two, economic development imbalance. Three, the intention of the state to subject a particular group of people to all sorts of undermining. These are the macro level. War against them illegitimately. These are the macro level. And if you look at the issues very well, you realize that the macro levels are caused by the government. And when we come to the micro level, that is the individual level. You have tribalism, nepotism, verbal vulgarism against some people who have reduced themselves to apparatus of evil cannot be justified. And it is up to all of us to rise as a nation against such an ugly act. I am happy that, in spite of our differences, with a common stand, with national solidarity, with national unity, we shall overcome the enemy.
Now, talk of proactiveness of government. The regional minister told the media that, well, they had intelligence that they were going to attack the home market. And so I think that they made every necessary, provision for the place to be on guard and all of that, only for the people to have attacked police stations and mounted roadblocks in some other parts, rather, instead of where they had the intelligence that the people were going to.
So I stand by my argument that the intelligence is still faulty. It was not strong enough. It is still a failure. The intelligence should have covered the area, especially, you see, when we are talking of intelligence. I've had opportunity to work with, as a journalist, I've had the opportunity to work with the intelligence community. It is not everything that I can say on air.
Very well.
But if you have proper intelligence, it must have certain parameters, right? And the range within which that intelligence is generated should be strong enough to cover the potential areas of strike. So if your intelligence reveals that a market will be struck, and then you go and prepare for the defense of the market, then the enemy strikes a police station or a military barracks. That is bogus intelligence. That should not be even called intelligence. In fact, that is an embarrassment. With all due respect to the Honorable Minister, I beg him, he's a father, but with all due respect, that Honorable Minister shouldn't have mentioned that. That is bogus, that is unacceptable, that is a complete failure.
Very well. I see Honorable Dr. Rashid Pepper wants to come in. But before you come in, let me ask Doc a final question on how government has handled the situation so far, from when these persons started their activities to where we've gotten to as a country currently, where they are now burning, bus terminals and burning buses and all of that. Do you think that the firefighting approach is becoming too much? It's right about time we approach this whole issue from the source than to have waited for the people to strike and then we are looking for ways and means to arrest them and prosecute.
Definitely, it will amount to selective justice if you single out a particular institution for castigation. Here, let me tell you, when it comes to security and national security and intelligence, we all have roles to play.
Okay.
The government has the role to play in terms of providing logistics, in terms of recruiting qualified personnel, in terms of incentives, in terms of creating a conducive environment for the staff of the intelligence and security management to function very well. Then when it comes to the professionalism, the intelligence officer is not a magician. He or she does not know what is happening. He or she will only know what is happening if there is strong cooperation between him or her and the society. So, as an individual, Ghanaian, interested in the stability of this country, I have a role to contribute to intelligence gathering. So, in that case, it will be very difficult to single out an individual or a personality for castigation. If it is successful, it is collective credit. If it is a failure, it is collective failure. So far, as a nation, we have not been able to manage the dynamics very well. And let me also, suggest that government should from time to time roll out programs for the ordinary citizen to understand his or her involvement in management of national security and intelligence. Let all of us understand that it is our civic responsibility to cooperate with the intelligence community to ensure stability in this country. But the intelligence community should also remain professionals. Let them not also allow themselves as apparatus of evil for the ruling party against any opposition party. Once such a thing happens, definitely you cannot get correct information. And that's why you can get intelligence about market only for the enemy to strike at the police station.
Very well.
That is very unfortunate.
Okay.
So when it comes to the success, we are talking of Ghana as a whole. And when it comes to the failure, we are talking of Ghana as a whole. And that is why I always say that patriotism must override partisanship.
All right. Thank you so much, Doc, for your submission. Honorable, you want to come in?
Yeah, I think that the whole thing is very, very childish and unprofessional. To say that you have received intelligence means that there's something happening. Where did you receive that intelligence? From which source? Are we going to be reactionary, or we are going to be progressive in action? If you are reactionary, it means that wait, they'll hit you, then you now chase them.
Yes.
If you are progressive, once you receive the intelligence, you know that there's a bad element in society. Search for them. Put them at all entry points into the community. Make sure that everywhere else is protected. Now, what happened was simply to have thrown a bit at them and said that we are coming. Deliberately allow a leakage. Then we are coming to the market. Then you are at the market. Divert their attention so we can hit here. It's a very, very simple trick that they trick them into believing. But that tells you the weakness of intelligence, the weakness of the system, the weakness of our policymakers, which he is very careful not to condemn.
Very well.
But I think that you can't praise the president for this failure. How else can you praise him? You have this thing for 3 years. They are coming in and out. They have come to do this. You've chased them. You arrested some of them. You let them go. They have come again. They have done this. You let them go. They have come the third time and they are destroying things. This is the fourth time. They are burning buses. You are praising somebody for a chain of actions that are disrupting society, creating chaos in society, attempting to destroy the unity and the sovereign country we all have. No.
Doc,
I'm saying that
Doc,
because you are playing neutral. You want to say that, well, after all, he's not using high-handedness. He's using the democratic means. He's trying to get them and take them through court. Therefore, it's good. In the first place, that could have been prevented. You will have to prevent it from happening so that you either say you are taking them to court or not. The first time you have arrested them, let them know the high cost of treasonable acts. That is a very, very sensitive thing, and it's a very high cost when you involve yourself in that. Let them go through the processes of the rule of law. Take them through the jury system, and let them face the consequences. If there was high-handed approach through all legal means, people would think twice before agreeing to be given an arm to say you want to disrupt society. So I think that the government has to set up. They have failed us so far, and we want to make sure it doesn't happen.
All right.
If we agree, if we don't condemn them now and push them into taking strong actions, they will eventually blossom. This thing will blossom into something else, and we'll all be caught up in the web of destruction and failure.
All right, thank you. 1 minute, so I could go to Doc.
Let me emphasize. Let me emphasize to my elder brother that the praise has been contextually defined, and the praise is in relation to the respect for the democratic rights of the people. No matter what, we are in a democracy. We are not in a jungle. And then my elder brother, I would have not just.
They want to destroy the country.
No, I'm making a point, and I was
take them through the courts.
I was expecting my elder brother Doc to have also commended me for condemning the failures of the government. But when you choose and pick, that also amounts to selective justice.
Okay.
Which is unbecoming of an MP.
Thank you so much for your submission. Now, Dr. Democracy, I'll start with you on this. Don't justify omissions in voters register. Well, but if there's something you would want to add to your earlier submission on the rebels you are free to do so, but you finally end with this for me. Don't justify omissions in voters register. Appiah to Electoral Commission.
Well, with regards to the Electoral Commission, I've always said I'm not the spokesman for Electoral Commission. I cannot assume to be the PRO for the Electoral Commission. But I would beg that sometimes we need to be careful in our rush to judgment. And what I mean by that is that from an administrative standpoint, when you are even doing registration of 110,000 people only, 110,000 people only, you stand to have some clerical errors. In the same vein, when you are registering even 20,000 students for one school, be it University of Legon, be it any tertiary institution, just 20,000 people, you will have clerical errors. Clerical errors, I'm talking about names spelled wrongly, date of birth done wrongly, age done wrongly, sex, female, male sex interchange.
It's becoming.
So I'm talking.
I'll give you the opportunity.
Yes, I'm talking about clerical errors with regards to administrative work.
Exactly.
Now, I am not here to preach that from any administrative standpoint, even from a clinical work we do, that from A to Z, all names, Ama, Kwesi, Ajua, Efe, are spelled correctly in a day. So, with regards to this Electoral Commission, errors identified, mistakes identified, I won't be the first to say that it is acceptable. It is unacceptable. However, from an administrative standpoint, I think there's room for some of these things which can happen on any day. Even in the making of American passports, I've seen mistakes. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Which I'm just trying to posit the point that under the most technologically advanced operation, once there's a human element involved, there will be some mistakes.
So the errors could be so intense that a police station would not even record a single person?
In fact, like I said here, I'll be the wrong person to advise you with regards to the inner workings of the Electoral Commission. I'm only here making a case that we should be realistic.
And we need to interrogate the case because we are talking about human and administrative errors. Then we should also look at duplication of ID numbers. How did that happen?
In fact, Justice, if I tell you that I've looked at each of the errors identified by the Electoral Commission and their reason or justification for it, I'll be lying to you. Okay. But I think that what we need to do as a country, anytime you make some of these registrations, there's a window for what we call scrubbing of the data. And what I mean by scrubbing of the data is reassessment of the information you took in and see where there may have been errors and see where one thing may have led to another. For instance, as we know, some registered at the district offices and were supposed to be, as it is, dropped in the various electoral areas or polling stations that they were supposed to have been. If you have a whole polling station missing, it is very likely to be an erroneous transposition of data. I mean, these things will happen. What we need to do is to ease up, give them some 21 days, I think, to rectify and really scrub their data. After that, then we can come and butcher them as much as we can. Because as we sit here, even going through 20,000 names is not an easy task. And I think they may need more manpower, and obviously some timeline awarded to the Electoral Commission to come out with clear, answers to the particular instances, each and every instance. Where there were females tagged as male has to be looked at and corrected. Where there were males tagged as females, like, Rashid Pelpo, then you see female. I mean, these are things that, as they scrub their data, I've heard that there was a 27-year-old who's been made the other way around. 72. These are things that are glaring and need to be corrected. And I think that every person that registered, if you fail to go and check, you still have room to go and check with the EC. And personally, whatever mistake you see on your card, get it corrected. And I think that we shouldn't forego the fact that several millions of people were registered in this exercise. And if per the several millions, there are about 7,000 anomalies compared to the several millions. There's some room of error in every numerical project. And if we cannot appreciate the fact that several millions of Ghanaians have been registered and about less than 10,000 errors have been noticed, I don't know. We will leave that for the statisticians.
But in asking for
answer.
some more time for the Electoral Commission to
I'm not
correct those
asking.
errors.
I'm only recommending.
Fantastic. In your recommendation of some more time for the Electoral
21
Commission
days.
to rectify those errors, which are we also taking into consideration the fact that we are very close to elections and we don't have time on our hands?
Several millions, less than 10,000 errors. That's what I'm trying to say here. There's room for margin.
Are these reasons not some of the reasons why some opposition parties, some civil society organizations, ahead of the compilation of a new voters register, asked that we need an ample time for this to be done, and so the EC should rescind on its decision of compiling a new register? Let's go into the elections and look at the way forward later.
We've gone beyond this proposition.
But now those persons are saying that I told you so.
No.
Listened.
I mean, and that's why I'm saying that we're talking about several millions of data compared to less than 10,000. And trust me, I mean, yes, Appiah and share and Bing.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
And from a data standpoint, the question holds. Several millions, errors less than 10,000. I mean, listen. I mean, that is a good performance. That is my point. And I think that it's people can go on a field day about it, but the question will hold. The judge will ask you, this guy has made millions of trips. The one journey, there's an incident. No, I mean, from a manufacturing standpoint, if you go to even Nestle right now, if they are making 1 million cans, there's room for about 50 cans to be damaged. That is what manufacturing is. So if you don't take into account the fact that there's been over 50 million people registered, and we're talking about erroneous entries of about less than 10,000, and you cry and cry about that, so be it. That is your mode of operation. I cannot fault you for that. But let's be realistic from a manufacturing administrative standpoint. Some clerical errors are accepted, and by so, per what we are seeing, it doesn't make this album or this exercise an exercise that was not worthwhile.
All right, thank you so much, Doc, for your submission. We're so grateful. Dr. Mazouk.
Well, yes, clerical errors are normal in dealing with data, in dealing with figures, in dealing with information. However, in a situation where clerical errors have been predicted, and the prediction has taken a certain dimension, the prediction has been made to sound as something that is meant to rig the election for a particular political party. The EC shouldn't have given its critics the opportunity for them and for the whole country to see semblance of truth of the prediction. Margin of error is a reality in life. But the extent of the errors is also something we must consider when we are analyzing political situations, especially in relation to elections.
Very well.
I have maintained that the elections are the soul of democratic politics. But the oxygen of the election, which constitutes the soul, is the integrity of the election, of the register. So if people had spoken, had warned, had predicted that these errors would arise, and today we are seeing those errors, definitely we will have questions to ask.
Yeah.
And we will have reasons to be concerned. As for errors in human life, no one questions that. No one can question that. But when errors are seen as deliberate, when errors are seen as creation, deliberate creation, to pursue a certain agenda, definitely, as concerned Ghanaians, we will have reasons to talk. And that is why I see the wisdom in the advice by Appiah. These errors should not be justified. They should be accepted. At worst, they should be accepted as human failures that are subject to correction. And at best, they should be accepted as something that critics of the Electoral Commission. I think there's no way we can justify the errors, and the justification of the errors does not even make the register perfect. What is important now is not the justification, but the correction of those errors. And as we continue to witness tension on the register, definitely it is not good for us, and we should all be concerned. From now up to the elections, let every Ghanaian show interest in the accuracy of the register, so that at the end of the day, no institution like the Electoral Commission or political party or any individual or politician will use the statistical gymnastics to subvert the will of the people.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Mazouk. Let me take a few of our messages. I'll come to Dr. Rashid Pepo and find out if the National Democratic Congress is satisfied now, because the Electoral Commission says they have restored the missing names. This one says, "Good morning. My name is Emmanuel Yinimi. The national security has failed and they must back up before it's too late. Alhaji has made my day. Well presented and articulated." Please, I don't agree with Dr. Dixon. The EC could have corrected these small errors on the old register to save the Ghanaian taxpayer, but rather chose to spend a huge sum of money for a new register. That is also giving us the same problem. These are, thank you so much for your message. This one says, "Good morning, Justice. Please tell Dr. Kisi that it would have been better if he had maintained that he doesn't speak for the EC. His analysis defies logic. He wants to tell us that to omit 21,000 names from a polling station is a genuine concern. Clerical errors are okay." Okay. Thank you so much for your message. This one says, "Inshallah, together we shall rescue this nation from the hands of selfish tyrant and his family and friends government of Nanado. Operation Win All Ballot Boxes. E. Farouk in Tamale sent in that one." This one says, "Government should deal with these people before it is too late." From B. Asuma. Thank you so much for your message. Morning, Justice. Good morning, Justice. I'm surprised even Dr. Pepple believes the evil schemes of this administration. Please, these are never, and I repeat, these are never any separatist groups in the Volta region. These are national security criminals carrying out evil schemes of this administration for their hatred for Voltarians to destabilize the region for desperate political gains. Please, these are hoodlums in the Nanado government carrying out his evil plans. Jejong in Taifa. Jejong, thank you so much for your message. Nana Intema says, good morning. The least we talk about the EC, the better. I've liked Dr. Kisi till now. He's on one breath saying he doesn't talk for the Electoral Commission, but says the errors of the EC are acceptable. 2 days after registration, the EC chair came out to say minors, foreigners, and double registrants are found in the register. Good morning, Justice and your panel. The current happening in the Volta region is because of the tribal politics or the talk against Voltarians that they are not Ghanaians by Honorable Bawumia, and he's a vice president. So Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and also ignoring Volta region from the national budget with an excuse that they have forgotten from the era of former President Jerry John Rawlings to JM's era. I have never heard any of them make any tribal comment or telling any region or tribe that they are not part of Ghana or neglect or forget any region in their budget. So I suggest the Vice President should be brought to book or make to apologize for the tribal comments against Voltarians, because the secessionists or the separatist groups were in existence long ago but never acted until the tribal comments and negations of the region. Ameshi Dixon, thank you so much for your message. He says, please, Mr. Justice, ask the MPP man for me whether he knows soft copy and hard copy. What does it mean? I don't really get that message. Good morning, Justice Appiah. The MPP are aware of the separatists. That is why the president has not visited the area and he's still going around campaigning. I asked if these actions taken by these groups were to be in the eastern region, he would have reacted. MPP cannot convince me about their innocence. James in Kumasi. James, thank you so much for your message. Good morning to the panelists and viewers of Pan-African TV. What is happening in the Volta region has been foretold by Kelvin Ekotila of WADR. It is a grand scheme to disenfranchise the Voltarians. Nobody should buy into this. They will soon be exposed big time. Machiavellian tactics, which is very common in Francophone countries. From Jack, thank you so much for your message. Good morning, my brother and your panelist. I'm Kojo from Ho. I want to appeal to we all Voltarians that what is happening in the Volta region is a criminal act and should be condemned by every citizen of Ghana. I'm disappointed by comments of some prominent people, MPs from the region, who are politicizing these sensitive issues, which they make on your sister station. I'm ashamed when I heard such a caliber of persons respected in society making those comments. I'm afraid. I don't know what he well, I don't really get what he thinks, if it's a civil war or what. Your message is not too clear. I'm finding it extremely difficult to read the message. Good morning, I'm Jaleo. This EC is simply sorry, I don't entertain insults, so I won't read the rest of the message. Why, when MPP is in power, this always is happening? It started in 2006. From 2009 to 2016, there were that issue in 2017. It started again. What issue are you talking about? I think that your message is not too clear. I love the show. Keep it up. Thank you so much for your message. It says, please, hi, Pan-African TV. I love your Wednesday and Thursday shows. because of Dr. Mazouk and lawyer Indisa Fusin. As for the Western Togoland brouhaha, it should be handled tactfully to forestall any excess that might come with it. Afa Edi sent in that one. Afa, thank you so much for your message. The so-called coup to overthrow the MPP government was immediately detected and taken seriously by the government, but more than 2 successive secessionist activities against some group of people was able to beat the imagination of the entire security body and the government. Oh God, save us. T. Felix in Hamile in the Upper West region sent in that one. Felix, thank you. The MPP can deploy the military and other security services to voter region to prevent people from voting, but cannot do so to 5 East separatists. James in Kumasi. James, thank you so much. Good morning. Jobs and prosperity for John and Jane will fight the effects of the poor economic management of the Akufo-Addo government and change the economic model to unleash the creativity of every Ghanaian. Roxin from Farm sent in that one. This one says, the hyena with a cap does not consume all the available food. African proverb. Okay. Thank you so much. I cannot read your messages anymore. I have a lot of messages. Let me come to Dr. Rashid Pelpo on this particular one. Doc, is the National Democratic Congress now satisfied with the Electoral Commission's, excuses given? Now they are saying that, okay, we have restored the names you are alleging that have been deliberately missing in the register. Are you okay as a party?
Well, we can never be okay until we are confident that there is no rigging machine put in place to make sure that one party is at an advantage. The questions that you asked Dr. Kisi and the responses he gave also are frightening. If the MPP can see nothing wrong and can call all errors in the register clerical errors, it's surprising. They are not clerical administrative errors.
Okay.
They are major errors that should be corrected. And I like the point made by Dr. Marzu when he said that, you predict something and it comes to happen. It means that there must be something wrong. And again, if it is a human error, you have to admit the error before you can correct it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so if the Electoral Commission admits to the major errors that are made that we've never seen in the last 30 years, nearly 30 years of our political experiment since 92, 28 years, there must be some explanations to it. There's another new thing that is taking place right now as we are talking. At the end of the 35 days of registration, 16.6 people, nearly 16.7 people registered. At the exhibition, there were 17.5 million people who were exhibited. Nearly 1 million people added to the number. I don't know whether you are getting me.
I get it.
At the end of the 35 days registration, it was 16.6 million people.
Yeah.
At the exhibition, there were 17.5 million people. Where is the addition coming from? That also has to be explained.
Okay.
I saw someone on social media, an MPP person from social media, who is disgruntled with his own people, and who was saying that there is a trick which they used in the last election, that when they go to register, in many places, you go and start with number 20. It means that in that constituency, 20 people will be added. You don't know where they are going to come from. They'll put some names there, and then when they count, they will actually be part of the voting, but you will not see them, their votes will not be counted, and that we should sit up. That may have resulted into what is happening now. So I think that there's so much to be done. We cannot be satisfied until we are satisfied that corrections are done. There's no question of seeking to disrupt this election by creating an amorphous and unnecessary group in Volta region that will create confusion in the minds and thinking of people, that can disrupt our voting, and that the register is clean, perfect, not at least to the point of perfection, but to the point when we can say that we can rely on it. You know, if government doesn't take care and want to put an old man in power beyond his days, we will create problems for everybody. We need to make sure that the right thing is done. You see, part of the challenge we have of African leaders, and Ghana is an example, is that it's as if Ghana under President Akufo-Addo is what I mean. When you are about to leave and you see it written on the wall, don't force yourself to take power by all means. John Mahama had all the means to do that. He gave up power.
Very well.
Jerry Rawlings has all the means to keep power and not allow it to go. He opened up the democratic space and there was election. He handed over power to Kufuor. We want to see that happen now. We don't want to see any dark forces trying to disrupt our voting procedure and disrupt our democracy and create confusion in this country. 4 more years for Nana. If you don't get the 4 more years, what will happen? Will you die? Or you want to die getting it? You want to kill the country getting it? It can't happen. It shouldn't happen. I think that they should allow democratic process to go on. They should allow the transparency of the elections to take place. If they have to go, let them go. If an NDC government has to come back, let it come back. That is democracy that we have fought for. We fought for it since Nkrumah, and we have maintained it now. So if we want to have, if President Akufo-Addo and his team of people want to disrupt it, Ghanaians will rise above the circumstance. They will rise to the circumstance and nip it in the bud. I believe very strongly. We can't tolerate it.
But Doc, the Electoral Commission, as a matter of fact, in their press conference, they told the media that all the allegations of missing names, for instance, as Sherman, where you talked about the fact that there were some 21,000 persons who are not found in the register, were unintentional human and administrative errors, and that they have restored the names currently. In Ashaman, what the Electoral Commissioner said is that they have just about 165 people who are yet to be restored. They have made giant strides with regards to correcting those errors, according to them. Are those ones not appreciable?
It's appreciable. I will even say that in my own constituency, we initially had the hitches, and we have problems with numbers in the register. Very quickly, they replaced the old register they gave us with new ones that had everybody's name on it. That's why you won't hear our complaints so loudly from West Central. They have been able to replace all the polling stations where there are problems with new registers, and everybody found their names there, and that was fine. But you see, in election, you don't just take anything for granted. Why in the first place did it happen? That's a question. And if you took $150 million to restore a clean register, a flawless register, and at the beginning of the exhibition exercise, when you have all the time to do so, you have these problems, people definitely are going to be worried about it. Especially because there had been an IT challenge, an IT suspicion. That was the reason why that was responsible for the MPP winning. Because at the time they were declaring results, the system was hijacked by a system that we didn't know.
Yeah.
The Electoral Commission complained that its system had been hijacked and broken down. Meanwhile, MPP had been declaring results flawlessly, telling people what they have gotten, and then even declared that they were winning.
Yeah.
While the Electoral Commission didn't have all the lists coming in, the results coming in from the areas. Sometimes I called Jean Mensa herself, to complain. And it's been working for me, So I think that they have an opportunity to restore respect for the register, transparency for it. They have an opportunity to make sure people's confidence is restored so we can go through an election that will be flawless, you know. And so they have to do something about it, or else, as John Mahama said, and I also believe in him, that where there is fraud, palpable fraud in the results, we are not going to abide by the results.
At what point would the National Democratic Congress accept that the register is clean, is transparent, the Electoral Commission has nothing to hide?
Well, we also have the register now. We also have the register. We will look at it to make sure that no additions have been made, no subtractions have been made, no name is dropped, no new names are added. If that happened and we are unaware of them, then we'll begin to question it. And we cannot trust such a register if names are added and we don't know where the names are coming from. We can't trust that. But where we can agree that this is the register, these are their names, we are verifying with our people, we have realized that these are the people who are in the register, they are, and the people can testify to it, we will have no problem at all.
All right, okay. Doc, you want to add something?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, public confidence is key to the operation and success of the EC.
Okay.
So whatever it does, it should be guided by this principle. Even if it does something good that does not sound reasonable in the eyes of the public, definitely it will have problems. And in a situation where that suspicion has been created, it is up to EC to clear that suspicion by rolling out mechanisms that will highlight the power of transparency. From now to the election, let the EC maximize its level of transparency. Two things are at play: participation and inclusion. Participation is individualized. You need to participate, but the inclusion is institutionalized. The EC needs to create an opportunity for me, an opportunity of inclusion for me to activate my right of participation. If the EC does not include me in the register, I cannot participate. So my participation relies on the inclusion by EC. The EC must be guided by these two principles of democratic governance, so that at the end of the day, the will of the people will reflect on the day of the election, and governance will continue. We know that today we are dealing with a situation which can be described as a clash between change and continuity. It is only the will of the people that can determine whether the people are ready for change or for continuity. The EC should provide every legitimate means for the true expression of the democratic will of the people to prevail in the interest of Ghana.
It is assured of its transparency and the fact that they have nothing untoward doing in the upcoming elections. They will make sure that they ensure free, fair, and transparent elections. Assurance
is one thing, and the application of the assurance another. That's all that I can say.
All right, thank you so much, Doc, for your submission. Now, let me take some few of our messages and we wrap up. Musa Abatwa in Kumasi says President Akufo-Addo should accept the challenge and come for a debate. He is running away because he has nothing to show. It's crystal clear that majority of Ghanaians recognize that he has failed on the management of the economy, failed on the infrastructure, and given away Ghana to his friends and families. Ghanaians know it is time for him to go, hence convincing the EC to manipulate the electoral results. Thus, President Mahama assured the chiefs and people of Ghana that NDC will continue to focus on developing all parts of the country without discrimination. Thank you so much for your message. I've monitored the Director of Elections for the AC, Dr. Sribo Kweku, on a sister station Please don't call the WhatsApp line. I found his statement insincere. His explanations were unfounded. The magnitude of anomalies are so enormous that you don't need rocket scientists to tell you that someone is up to something malicious. In an attempt to do knee-jerk reaction, end up exposing the incompetence of the Electoral Commission. EC doesn't determine what flawed electoral results is. They should do the right thing and stop behaving like Americans looking for mass destruction in Iraq. Thank you so much, Musa Abatwa in Kumasi. Good morning, Justice. Special greetings from Honorable Foster Joseph Andor, incoming MP for Chifuhiman, Lower Dentra, the eye of the youth. Massive vote will be deposited into the ballot box for him come December 7th. Asma Jr. in Chifuhiman. Thank you so much, Asma, for your message. This one says, I would have been very, very much disturbed if I were President Akufo-Addo because of the evil plans of Jane Mensah's led EC. No God-fearing person should allow people's blood flow just because of political power. I'm 58 years and I've never seen what is happening in Ghana, our beloved country, before. Please, religious leaders and the National Peace Council should come out and speak clearly about this ISIS issue before the country is thrown out of gear. From James K. Saba. James, thank you so much. The EC, the current EC is the worst we have in the history of Ghana. Thank you so much for your message. You sent in that one from Lakeside Estate. Good morning, Justice, and to your family. Justice, we must all be together as Ghanaians to bring an amicable end to the issue regarding the separatist. History will tell us to be very careful in matters of such magnitude. Justice, don't forget how our great Yana of Dagbon was murdered in the midst of huge security. I will kindly appeal to our security agencies in the country to secure the country from these hooligans in order to restore peace. Thanks. Kwame in Tabora sent in that one. Good morning, Justice and the August panelists. I enjoy watching the program. I want to see that Jane Mensah is a potential candidate for jail. I promise her. Ametepe from Pokwase. Ametepe, thank you so much for your message. This one also says, good morning, Justice, and to your panelists. Okay. Good morning, Justice, and to your panelists. Justice, please tell Dr. Admonkisi that the over-politicization of issues in this country by MPP government led by President Akufo-Addo should be blamed for that because of divisive leadership by President Akufo-Addo and MPP. Good morning. Good morning to you too. Good morning. I really enjoyed your show. Keep it up. Thank you so much. You sent in that one from Tamale. I'm so grateful. If the MPP leaders can say Votarians are Togolese and this is happening, then they should be held responsible for this problem. By KB in Kumasi. KB, thank you so much for your message. This one says, Justice, once again, good morning to you and to your panelists. Let Dr. Rashid know that even if the NDC wants 100% error-free register, that won't be too much to ask from the EC because they boasted of a robust system. The reason they at all costs compiled a new voters register against all pieces of advice from well-meaning Ghanaians. All right. Thank you so much. Doc, thank you so much for coming, Dr. Mazoub. Honorable Dr. Rashid Purple, thank you so much for coming.
Let me
I'm
just
so grateful.
respond briefly to the gentleman.
That's okay. All right, you can go ahead.
Yeah, who was trying to say that I may not be aware that this separatist movement is being propped by government. Well, my position is that we let it open. We discuss the issues and allow you to make a conclusion. Because for me, that's why I was asking the questions.
Yes.
How can you have an organization like this? You have arrested them 3 times. You have allowed them to continue. You have gone to, they have seized police vehicles, police stations. Nobody went there until the block rose. That means there's something wrong. That means that government is treating them with kid gloves because of an ulterior motive.
Okay.
Because they may be aware of it. So it's for the listener to now make a conclusion that this is the situation.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Doc, for your submission. Well, this is our time will allow us on the program for today. Very big thank you to my cameraman in the studio, Mr. Mensah. Mr. Mensah, thank you so much. And then also to Tio. Tio, thank you. My director, Adam. Adam, thank you so much for always being there to make sure that this program is successful. The soundman, TT, and all other persons, the production team as well. I thank all of you. This our time will allow us once again. My name is Justice Appiah, and the show has been Good Morning Africa. But people are questioning the president's silence on the issue of the separatist movement or the secessionists in the Volta region. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, yesterday, a security analyst has urged to speak on the matter. Well, Ghanaians are demanding the president to speak on matters of this magnitude. We cannot have the president being silent. The opposition leader has spoken. President Akufo-Addo must speak.
Yes, I take this opportunity to invite you, my elder brother. Okay. In fact, his presence will make the function more colorful, more dignifying as an MP. Okay. We are supposed to have a program tomorrow at ICODE. ICODE is at Abavana Junction. And you can imagine, this is an association of Muslim female teachers. And I'm supposed to be part of that association. But I'm there to serve them in the name of Islam, not to serve them in the name of... All right. Yeah, so everybody's...
What time is the program?
10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Yeah, we start from 10 a.m.
We shall make it a point to be there. Thank you so much. Well, goodbye and have a lovely day.
Thank you.